Hey friends, I saw a call posted by another channel, and whenever I started listening to it and realizing what she was saying, I was like, oh my God, puzzle pieces clicking that I've always wondered about. So I decided to record and react with y'all. So here we go. Let me bring it up. Channel name is the Gypsy Rose Blanchard Files. I'll have a link in the description. Let's take a look, friends.
Okay, perfect. I thought we would go for our final combo today. I thought we would talk about the binders of your medical records because I'm going to ask Christy for them. But I wanted to know how your mom kept track of all of the procedures you had.
Medical binders that had a lot of my medical records in it, a lot of physical x-rays, things like that kept in two binders. And the night of the murder, I threw them in the trash.
She threw them in the trash the night of the murder. Why would she do that? According to her story, her big story that she's sold, she didn't even know there was medical abuse until Mike Stanfield told her in jail. And she said, I don't have cancer. Her story is she didn't know there was any issue with what her mother told her about the medical stuff, other than the fact that she knew that she could walk. And we know that's not true. But this is big, I think. This is big because I've always wondered. There is a part in Nick Godejohn's interrogation where he says that and it's, there's a beginning part of Nick Godejohn's interrogation where he's, as he says in his words, telling the lie story that they come up with to cover. And then he gives in because the interrogator tells him that Gypsy's already told the truth. He needs to, do the right thing for Gypsy and stuff. And he starts telling the truth. He's like, okay, I'll admit I did stab her. Well, one of the things that he says during that time, after he starts telling the truth, is that as they were cleaning up and leaving, Gypsy started going through the house and throwing away pictures of herself because she didn't want to leave a trace, didn't want people to know she lived there. And we know Nick has a lower IQ and some mental issues. And clearly, that was something that Gypsy knew he would believe. That's not true. You can tell that by looking at the crime scene photos. There were pictures of Gypsy left everywhere. There was a freaking portrait of her as a princess in the living room still. So that always bugged me. I always wondered what exactly did she throw away? Well, it might be medical records. And why would she do that? Maybe because she already had a plan. Gypsy has told us many times that she is a prep person. And I believe that. She does plan. She plans for a long time. She planned the murder for over a year at least, that we can confirm documented from FOIA evidence, at least a year, because Nick and his friend Allie were talking about it in 2014. So, in my opinion, throwing away the medical records the night of the murder shows that she was planning to use something about medical, obviously, for a defense. Her whole "I didn't know anything until Mike Stanfield came in" is, in my opinion, a completely disproven lie at this point.
And what them?
Is things like that kept in two binders. And the night of the murder, I threw them in the trash. Without
And what dumpster?
it was it was our RB trash, so it was our trash can, and I took it out to the curb.
So what documents does Christy have from your medical records?
I honestly don't really know.
I'm not sure why Melissa Moore just glossed over that, other than she didn't want to press Gypsy is the only thing I can think of. Is she wanted her to stay friendly with her and give her the story. She didn't want to do the hard thing and be like, "Why would you do that? You didn't know there was an medical issue until Mike Stanfield told you. Why would you throw away the medical records in the dumpster?" Like, there was no questioning of that story whatsoever. Just, "Oh, I threw him in the dumpster night of the murder. Oh, okay, move on." I don't get it, friends. I don't get it.
And it's kind of a complicated, messed up situation with medical records because when Francesca decided to partner up with my parents tried to partner up with Francesca on this movie TV show that she wanted to make, and as we know, she's a con artist. But she had Francesca had Titania disc player, which is just a lady that my mom went to high school with a long ass time ago.
Hmm.
Francesca like recruited her to be on the project as a medical expert, and so Chrissy had got it to where she sent me release forms, and I released them all to Titania, and now Titania is holding them hostage, and we are not on good terms. So I feel like I'm never gonna get those back.
So, well, they're just copies. They didn't give her the originals.
Don't know.
No, they won't give her the originals. They don't. That's not how it operates. So
Gypsy is telling a story that has the same hole as the story that Dee Dee used to tell. Dee Dee said all our medical records were lost in Katrina. Some actually were because when did Katrina hit? 2005? Yeah, when the storm hit in 2005, there were still doctor's office and hospitals, places in Louisiana that weren't fully online yet with their records. And in some instances, storage servers were destroyed. However, there was usually some form, like medical records generally, unless they're very old, aren't stored in just one place. There's usually multiple copies, especially due to insurance and the type of public assistance that Dee Dee and Gypsy were using. Those things would have been copied to different places for proof, not just at the one doctor's office. So Gypsy being like, I don't have my medical records because I threw them in the dumpster. I signed them over to Fancy and Titania. And Melissa's like, well, that those are just copies. Like you still have your records, you know. What is she even doing there?
she just has copies. So we would just do the same procedure and get them copies of them.
Okay. Well, I honestly don't know who has what. Over the last couple of years, it's been so crazy with records and releasing records to different people. So it's kind of like everything's spread out amongst people. I have no idea.
Hmm. So, as far as the records that she has, your medical records, um, has she shared any of those medical records with you that she got, or okay. Has she released any of your medical records to the public?
Don't know.
Okay, we know from Gypsy Rose's emails and from her other prison calls, she knew every single move Fancy made. Every move Fancy made, every video she made, Gypsy knew how many views it had at any given time, had people trying to get him taken down and stuff like that. She is giving Melissa a runaround because she doesn't want Melissa to have her medical records, in my opinion. What do y'all think? Let me know if I'm right or I'm reaching.
It's actually a really good question. I think that could be a legal lawsuit if she put, because you didn't give her permission. She doesn't have permission to publicize them. So that would be a problem.
Is planning to publicize them with if any project comes out of what they're working on. I didn't give permission for them to use those.
Yeah. And if they're any legitimate production company, they would, because of HIPAA, even though you release the medical records to them, that doesn't give them authority to publish it. Same goes for if somebody publishes your social security number or your.
Listen, I don't know which one of them is right or wrong there. I'm not a HIPAA expert. I'm not a legal expert. However, I will say Fancy has published the records in her book, and Gypsy hasn't done a damn thing about it. She tried to sue Fancy way back for something else, breach of contract, something about the medical records. And Mike Stanfield was so incompetent. Even though Fancy lived in a southern state, Gypsy lived in Louisiana, Mike filed the lawsuit against her in Chillicothe. He thought that Missouri would just still be enamored with Gypsy, and Missouri doesn't give a shit. Nobody there actually lives there other than just a very few care. Everyone does not want to think or talk about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, especially not the people who knew them for the most part. I don't know why Mike thought filing it there would be a good idea, but the judge threw it out for wrong jurisdiction. And Gypsy's never attempted to sue her since. So, all the stuff they're talking here didn't hold up in real life. Maybe she could get another lawyer who would be able to sue Fancy in the right jurisdiction. I don't know, but I know she failed, and I know she hasn't even bothered to try it again, even though the medical records are all kinds of out there now.
License without your permission, that's a legal issue too. So you get some autonomy. Like some records are supposed to be private. So tell me how your mom would keep track of all the procedures you had.
Just gotta say, Melissa's like, some records are supposed to be private. Well, yeah, but not everyone who wants those record private acts like Gypsy Rose Blanchard and will sign them over to anybody that she thinks she can increase her fame. Like, sure, there are rights to privacy, but people sign them away for fame.
About keeping track of surgeries and procedures. She had a date book, and those were for keeping track of medical appointments, surgeries, and she had like folders of medical records. So she kept pretty good track of it just by paperwork. She would always ask the doctor, "Can I have a copy of whatever the test results were, or things like that after surgery?" Transcripts of things like that.
Mm-hmm. And
Gypsy sounds nervous.
how did she come up with the new diagnosis that she wanted you to have? Did she ever confide in you, like what she was plotting next as far as your medical?
No, she would never tell me anything beyond that I had appointments. So it's like I knew that I had doctor's appointments. And I vaguely kind of knew to tell me like the day of, okay, you have an appointment with the eye doctor or the GI doctor.
That's interesting because her story now is that the whole reason why she decided Dee Dee had to go is because she was going to cut. And that's why she had to basically have a similar thing done to Dee Dee. It was a exploratory surgery. Now she's saying Dee Dee wanted to do on her larynx. And she even said in one interview, it's important to have a story like that explains it to people. Saying my mother was going to cut my throat explains to people. And she looked so happy with that explanation. It was so obvious. It's a story she just come up with. And she thinks she's done a smart thing by coming up with that story. Okay, since I didn't find this particular call myself, I'm going to stop reacting here. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description so you can hear the rest of it on the channel that uploaded it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, friends, and we'll go out with palate cleanser.